I got it.
Let's have a look then.
Here we have the earliest full Talmud. This contains the ancient traditions of the Jews in manuscript form before it was printed, so it's been written out by scribes.
This is the bit they've rubbed out.
The Pope wouldn't authorise the printing of the Talmud if it had slurs against Jesus in it. So the Jews rubbed this out so that they could get a licence for printing it. But actually on this one, it was unfortunate. They removed a real historic tradition. It was really valuable to them.
So this is an important testimony about Jesus in a Jewish source that's pretty hard to read.
Yes, it's very hard.
But how can we read what's underneath it?
Well, I've scanned it into a computer and blown it up so you can see it better, and put a transcription underneath. And you can see what they've been saying. And here, when they get to the bit about Jesus, let me read the translation I've got here. On the eve of Passover, they hung Yeshu the Nazarene, and a herald went out before him for 40 days, saying, Yeshu the Nazarene will go out to be stoned for sorcery and misleading and enticing Israel. And anyone who knows anything in his defence must come and declare concerning him. But no one came to his defence, so they hung him on the eve of Passover.
So I can see that fits with the Gospels in terms of the timing of Jesus' crucifixion, but what about the other things like him being stoned?
Yeah, you've got the eve of Passover, that's nice. And you have other details which we don't know from the Gospels, like the charges that were made against him for sorcery and enticing Israel. But of course he wasn't stoned, he was hung on the cross. And that's what it had in this original text. And it looks like they had an embarrassment here. They didn't want to say that he'd been hung, because that means he was crucified by the Romans. And they wanted to say that they were in charge, and he was killed according to the law of Moses, which means stoning. So they added in that bit about stoning. You see, I've made a difference here between the bold bits and the not bold bits. The bold bits are bits we got confirmation for from other historic documents, from Jewish and also Christian documents. These actual words occur, but the other words have been added to try and explain it. So they added that he'll go out to be stoned, as if he was stoned and then his corpse was hung up as evidence of his being a criminal.
So what about the sorcery? What's going on there?
Well, sorcery is very interesting, because you can't be charged with sorcery if it's just magic, if it's just illusions. You can only be charged with sorcery if it's genuine miracles, but miracles done with the power of the devil.
So this shows that they believed that Jesus had performed miracles?
Yeah, they believed those miracles were real, and they were prepared to stone him for that fact. But they tried to cover it up by saying he was misleading Israel. They added in a word to suggest that these miracles were actually fake. It's illogical, because you don't get killed for fake miracles.
So when do you think this tradition goes back to?
I think this is the actual charge sheets that they brought against Jesus. They've preserved it because everyone remembered it. They couldn't make people forget, but they added bits in order to get rid of the embarrassing details.
And that's what's been preserved in this early collection of Jewish tradition?
Yep, the actual words for Jesus' charge sheet.